ladies and gentlemen, one of the best things you can do is a water fast. If you want to have great digestion, you want to have a good microbiome, you want to have good mental clarity, you want to be very fit, you want to start getting rid of all that visceral fat that's choking your organs. That's, the adipose fat's kind of around the belly and on the legs and the thighs and all those other places in the chest. But the visceral fat, it gets inside the organ systems. This is death. This is like it's bad. It's not good stuff. And when you fast,
Hey, Inspire Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers. John Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another Inspire conversation. It's springtime and, it's in the air. We can all feel it. And a lot of people are thinking about fasting, taking a step back and trying to go without eating for a few days, seeing what it might do for their body. And I think it's really important that we do it with some knowledge, proper preparation, know what we're getting into, and just get ready for it. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to bring back our dear friend, Tim James, founder of Chemical Free Body. Tim, how's it going, brother? Put that guitar away.
You got me.
How's it going, Tim?
It's going good. It's going good. Glad to be here. Super excited to talk about fasting because first time I heard about it, I didn't pay attention to it at all. And then after that, when I saw somebody fasting, they were on day 10 of a water fast. I said, that guy's nuts. That was my comment because that's where my belief systems were. So I'm really excited to share with everybody what I've learned over the last 14 years. And what couldn't be perfect timing because today I'm on day 1 of a water fast.
There you go. I've been on and off, doing 48-hour fasts throughout the winter every now and then. And I'm going to do a longer water fast too. I used to think, why the hell would someone not eat when they could eat? I was like, I didn't get the point at all. Like, why would you just stop eating if you can eat? And of course, I've evolved since. Lots of fasts, juice fasts, water fasts, whatnot. But let's start with, who is this appropriate for? Who, in your opinion, should be fasting?
Well, I would say hopefully everyone at some point. You might not want to do it right now. I would give a disclaimer. Again, we don't give health advice. This is just stuff that I've learned over the years and watched thousands of people do it and coached a lot of people through it. So, but people that are diabetic, okay, that can be a problem with glucose levels and stuff like that. Fasting could become dangerous. So if you're diabetic, it probably should be done under medical supervision, right? Also, people that are bulimic and anorexic, we're not giving you permission to not eat or throw up more. So there's some psychological issues going on there too. But barring that, and there is things that the diabetics can do too. We'll get into that. But pretty much everybody else, let's roll. I mean, this is something you want to get going into your lifestyle because it's what I keep learning, John, is that some of the most powerful medicine is 100% free. It's 100% free. It's like, you want to reduce your stress, just go walk in nature. Like, go take a walk. It's gonna reduce your stress.
Take a hike, brother, and you'll see what happens.
Right. Yeah. You want to reduce inflammation in your body, take your shoes off and make contact with Mother Earth. Grounding. We talked about that before. Getting vitamin D, sunlight. It's free, guys. Free. You got free vitamin D when the sun's out. Why aren't we taking advantage of this stuff? Right. We live in these concrete jungles and the boxes and all these weird things. So, all right. So fasting. All right. So it's a big topic. I'm going to try to go through it systematically.
Yeah. Like, let's say somebody hasn't done it yet. What would be the first step before they start fasting?
Yeah. So we're talking about somebody brand new. And again, well, let's talk about those diabetic people first.
Okay.
Cool. So if you're a diabetic and you're, on insulin or taking your pills or whatever, your oral tablets, what I've learned is that fasting's not really the first step for you. The first step for you would be eating monolithically, which means you eat one food. So in the morning, instead of having, whatever you're used to having, you have your pancakes and eggs and bacon, or, whatever you're having, your cinnamon toast crunch, or, all that toxic garbage. No offense. I mean, but that's what most people are eating. Then you should switch over and just have like cooked, like quinoa, right?
Hmm.
Or a leafy green salad. And that's it. You eat one food, just that one food source. So that's the beginning of it's kind of gliding you into the point where, and then you're going to up your nutrition, which now goes into the category of everybody else who hasn't fasted before but wants to. Check this out. In 1936, the U.S. Senate document, there was a U.S. Senate document that warned that we'd be starving while eating because the soil was already drained of nutrients. And today it's way worse. It's 85. I mean, it's bad. It's even worse because of all the mega farms and the tilling and the killing and the spraying and the pesticides, the fungicides, all this stuff. So you're not just tired, you're underfueled by lacking these key nutrients. The government knew it. We ignored it, right? So coming from that standpoint, when you have people that are literally malnourished in the United States because of there's no nourishment in processed food, or it's just toxic poison.
Just to make
Um,
clear, Tim, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you can be obese, and likely when you are obese, you're also malnourished. That is a very common.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
just yeah, okay.
If you're a large percentage, or if all or a large percentage of your diet is processed foods, even organic foods are, what's the quality of the soil? I mean, just because they say they're not spraying anything. So the bottom line is people are deficient. And if you were to put somebody on a water fast, that might not be the best thing for them. Their eyes would roll back into the back of their head because they're so deficient in nutrients. Now you have to understand that what's so powerful about, and we're going to cover all different types of fasting, like juice fasting and water fasting and intermittent fasting. We'll cover all that. But the water fasting is kind of like the holy grail, right? Like Jesus went out to the desert and drank water for 40 days, 40 nights, became closer with God. And all religions around the country and around the world are like, if you want to get closer to God, what do? You fast and you
Yes.
pray. So it's been around a long time. This ain't something Johnny come lately. This is not new stuff. It's old stuff. And it's actually programmed into our biology. So back in the day when we were out foraging and running around like some indigenous people do today, they would go out and get their foods, and those foods would be nutritious. So they'd have lots of nutrients. But then there would be a day or two that they couldn't find food. Stuff happens. This is the wild. There's not a grocery store on every corner and you don't have access to all this stuff. And so there'd be those days where you didn't eat. And that's just the way it was. Now, when you stop eating after a certain time period, around 16 to 18 hours, your body shuts off of you one of your primary fuel sources, which is the food you're consuming, and it switches over to the other primary food source, which is burning your own fat and calories and that's a very, and by the way, that second one is the most efficient. It's the most efficient fuel that the human could ever experience
So
for
ketosis
mental
versus
clarity.
glucoses, right? Most people run on glucoses. That would be running on ketosis and burning fat for fuel rather than sugar.
Yes, yes, and by far the most efficient. And that should have just been a natural thing. That's the way we were designed. It's the way God designed us. So you eat food and you have that, but if you don't have food, whoop, you switch gears and now you have your other fuel source and you're operating on that. And on days like Wednesdays, this is why I fast on Wednesdays, because I have a very heavy day. I have a coaching day. I teach after this class. I've got 2 other classes to teach. I've got another podcast after this. So on the days that I'm teaching my group coaching and stuff, I want the most mental clarity. I want to be able to draw from every neuron in my brain, and I want to bring my energy to my students.
Full
And that's
stop.
what,
Full stop. I'm sorry. I got to interrupt you here. This is the number one myth that people tell me why they can't fast is because they won't have enough energy to fulfill their tasks. You just debunked that. You just said the exact opposite. You said, if I want maximum energy, I fast.
yeah. Well, and when I learned this at the beginning at Hippocrates Wellness Center, it was like in 2011. Like I ran into the guy that was on a day 10 fast. They actually coach Olympic level athletes, and what they'll have those Olympic level athletes do is they have them stop eating sometimes 1 day, sometimes even 2 days before they actually have their event to do, so that their body is not spending any energy on processing food. Most people's your most about 60% of your energy roughly is spent on a daily basis just breaking down the food, digesting it so that it can be used and then exited out of the body. So if you can get the nutrients into the body without the burden of digestion, well, now you got something, right? And even further, if you can switch over to your fat, which is a more efficient system than the consumption of food, now you're just using your alternative fuel source and you have zero burden of digestion because there's nothing to digest. You're not eating right now. So you're going to be a more optimal person for that time period. Now, are you going to continue doing this forever? Well, some people are. They're called Suntarians. They
Yep.
just look at the sun in the morning and the night, and they're taking the energy. And now you thought fasting was crazy. Now you're really, but there's a whole bunch of people doing this. All right,
Oh
so
yeah,
that's
and this
all.
is throughout history, breatharians, people that are um, able to maintain their energy better, that too, but it's also they're able to pull the energy from the ether around them and
Yeah,
not.
and the
Yeah.
reality is that the sun and it's like all life on this planet comes from the sun via photosynthesis. It's captured on the leaf of a plant. They taught us this in second grade. Most people forgot about it, but all life on this planet is captured on the leaf of a plant via the sun. And so, that's where, light, we're light, living light beings. And so there it is. All right. So that's how some people do that. The breatharians, suntarians, whatever you want to call them. They do that. So I'm not recommending you be a breatharian right out of the gate. Okay.
No,
And most
no.
of you probably are never going to do it. I don't know. I might do it for a while. I have no idea what I'm going to do in the future. I'm not attached to any outcomes. So if I decide to do it someday, maybe I will. I don't know. It's a good way to save some money at the grocery bill. All right. Um, yeah, it'll work. Okay. So when you going back in history, when the way we're genetically programmed over hundreds of thousands of years is to eat nutritious food when we could find it and burn glucose, and when we can't find it, we kick into our other primary fuel source, which is ketosis and burning our own fat for fuel. Very efficient. Okay, those are the two sources, and I'm telling you right now that at some point you want to get to the point where you can be using both of these fuel sources. And the reason why is because there's so much pollution today, and from our stagnant, crazy, polluted, stressed out lifestyles, a body's accumulated lots of toxins. We have a lot of, I mean, everybody has cancer cells, but your immune system handles them every day, right? And you have issues and stuff, and there's dead cells. When you go into that other primary source where you're in ketosis and burning your fat, your body is going into massive healing mode. What they called it at Hippocrates was you're doing surgery without a knife. Okay. Your body is going into a massive cleanup mode. It's getting rid of dead cells. I mean, actually at 2 days on a water fast, you start making new brain cells.
Oh yeah.
Like, so you want to get smarter? You got a big test coming up. Well, maybe you should do some water fasting before you get there. But again, we're going to give you the steps leading up to the water fast. In 2 days, you also increase your human growth hormone 2,000% on a 2,000%.
That's incredible.
People are spending like $500, $1,000 going down and get injections for HGH, the human growth hormone. You can get more of it by doing nothing. Your own body will make your own. It's not somebody else's, and it's not some synthetic thing that was compounded in a pharmacy. Not that those are bad, but it's like if you're getting injections, then your body's like, oh, I don't need to make it because I'm already getting it because it wants to be efficient. Or you could just water fast for 2 days and increase your human growth hormone 2,000%. Okay, so that's kind of a big deal. All right, so that's how the body works, and we should want to get to this. So if you want to have beautiful skin, ladies and gentlemen, one of the best things you can do is a water fast. If you want to have great digestion, you want to have a good microbiome, you want to have good mental clarity, you want to be very fit, you want to start getting rid of all that visceral fat that's choking your organs. That's, the adipose fat's kind of around the belly and on the legs and the thighs and all those other places in the chest. But the visceral fat, it gets inside the organ systems. This is death. This is like it's bad. It's not good stuff. And when you fast, that fat will get used up 2 to 1 over, I think it's at least 2 to 1, might be 4 to 1, but it's really fast compared to that's the first fat that's going to go, because the body's very smart. It's like, this is killing us, we're going to get rid of it. All right, so we'll come back to water fasting now. But most people shouldn't start off with a water fast, again, because you don't have the nutrients in your body. You're not like we were 100,000 years ago, full of nutrients, and then switching over to burn the ketones and the fat, with the other fuel source. So the first step, if you want to fast, is to flood your body with nutrition and get nutrients in the cells. And so what we do is we start people off. Most people are breakfast, lunch, and dinner, repeat their whole life. And that's like having the pedal down on the rental car, and you're just, and then hitting the brakes, gas brakes. It's hard on the system. So in the morning, we have people, except for bulimics and diabetics and anorexic people, that they stop eating food in the morning, the nutrition through heavy food, and they replace that with a green juice. We flood their body with nutrients. So they actually getting more nutrients without the burden of all that digestion. And
that's the stuff that's behind you, the green.
Yeah, 85. We use Green 85. That's our product. Or if you made fresh juice, whatever. So the point is that you flood the body with these concentrated nutrients. It goes through the intestinal system and into the blood and into the cells, and the cells get the nutrition. That's it. And then that's step one. So now, instead of having a heavy breakfast, you start doing some green juices in the morning. That's the first step. And then you have your lunch, and then about before dinner, we have people do green juices again. And we have people do this for like 1, 2, 3 months, depending on how they feel. And then we get to pick a day. It's an exciting day. So now we're going to also not only have green juice for breakfast. My days are Wednesdays. We're going to also have it for lunch, and you're going to replace that lunch with the juice rather than the heavy food. And then you're going to do that. And then the next week, you're going to do that. You might do that for a week or 2 or 3, or a month or 2 or 3. And then you're finally going to get to the point where you're going to have all juice on, let's say, a Wednesday or a Tuesday or whatever day you want. It could be a Sunday, whatever day you want to pick. And now you have one day a week where you don't have any burden of digestion, and you're just flooding the body you're actually getting more nutrition with way less effort. And now that's kind of a foundational thing. If you can get to that point where you have those two things going every single day, no heavy food for breakfast, replace it with a green juice, and then one day a week, it's all juice, waters, caffeine-free teas, plain water, stuff like that, hibiscus tea, chamomile teas, dandelion root teas. You do that. Okay. There are some things to help people out in the beginning. If they're having blood sugar issues, you could actually put chia seeds in the water and shake them up and make chia water. That works out real good to help get through that. But those are the first two steps. We want to get people to get off the heavy meals, replace that with a green juice in the morning, and then eventually get to one day a week. That's every day. And then one day a week where it's all juice. Okay. And now, after you got that done, you're probably ready for a water fast. And in my protocols, every quarter, I do a 3 to 5 day water fast. So I just take a break for 3 to 5 days. I'm not drinking greens. I'm not drinking Green 85. I'm not doing teas. Nothing. It's just water. Okay, it's just water, and that's it. So 3 to 5 days, and then the other part of the yearly program is one time a year, do an extended fast, 10 days or longer.
Just water, or do you add anything?
Just water. 10 to 40 days of just water, and you pick.
What was your longest? What was your longest?
I've made it 9 days. So what I actually did was, and this is, once you get to that point where you're going to do those, is you should get a ketone monitor and a glucose monitor. So I'm not affiliated with this brand, but it's called Keto Mojo. And you get your glucose, blood glucose, and your ketones, and right there. So I am not quite in ketosis yet. That's probably going to be happening within the next hour or 2 or 3. But I got this little monitor thing. It connects to Bluetooth to my phone, tracks everything. And then I got my little thing to prick my finger. And then I've got little strips that I stick in for glucose and ketones, so I can monitor that.
I don't have a monitor, but I will tell you that I feel it when, or at least I pinpointed to the time when I stop getting hungry. It just feels like, oh, now, sort of these waves are subsiding and I'm getting into a calmer state. That's when I feel like, oh, I'm in ketosis now. It's starting. And it feels different. It's not that you won't get a little bit hungry, but it's a different, I don't know, it doesn't feel as urgent anymore. And yeah, so I love when that kicks in. But you just gotta sit through it. I mean, until it happens, right?
Yeah, and what you're gonna experience too is that you're gonna start talking to yourself, and you're gonna be surprised how clever your I don't know, your ego or whatever it is that's talking to you. Oh, it's okay. You can just have a drink of this nut milk. It's a liquid. And now you're committed to this water fast, and you're like, well, yeah, I could just have a sip of that. Oh, you don't need to do this. You've already been on this water fast for 2 days. You're good. I mean, I'm telling you what, you're gonna have some it's crazy. Okay. You want to see how you want to see what it feels like to be a heroin addict that gets thrown into a jail cell, and they'll do everything. They try being really nice, then they rage at you, and they're just freaking out because they want to get their fix. And you're going to find out very quickly that we all of us are food addicts at some level. Now, what we try to do is we try to prepare people and our clients so that they don't have to go through that as much, because we help them clean out their digestive tract, we help them flood their body with nutrients, and we work them into it at their own pace. Everybody's different. Some people, I mean, I got a friend here in town. He just decided to water fast, and he was lifting weights every day, which I don't recommend. You should, if you're doing long-term water fasting, you should be just relaxed, chilling out, reading books, taking naps, because you're doing surgery without a knife. Your body is in massive cleanup mode. Massive. It's a good time to educate yourself too, and just read and study stuff, and stay away from computers. This is a chance for you to go inward, and all of your answers are there. I mean, we have all of our own answers. We're just so disconnected from ourselves sometimes, and this will help you right the ship really quick. Okay.
I think it is easier if, in your preparation, you go into intermittent fasting mode, even a couple weeks before. And I would recommend intermittent fasting anyways. It feels much better, but that's just like an interval. Either you don't eat for 12 hours, 14, 16, 18 hours. You pick the interval. I like the longer ones where you don't eat after 5 or 6 p.m. and then you don't eat until 16 or 18 hours later. And that just really gets you in the groove already, kind of. And then the water fast kind of kicks in
Yeah.
easier.
Well, I'm glad you brought up intermittent fasting, because it's just something that we can look at as a very, you can get a lot of positive benefits out of it on the daily. I know that at Hippocrates, they taught us back in 2011 that the eating window was from 11 a.m. to about 6 p.m. So they were doing basically a 7-hour window is what they were doing. 7 hours that you could eat.
So you
And
intermittent fast 17 hours a day.
yeah. And think about it. I mean, let's say you go to bed at 10 o'clock at night and you wake up at, let's say, 6. You just fasted for 8 hours while you slept. So for people that are like, oh, I can't fast, like, you do it every day when you sleep. I'm sorry. Unless you're like sleepwalking and eating and you don't know it. I mean,
W-
that can happen, I guess.
Tim, what do you see like in people that have never done it or that are not really good about their nutrition? What usually happens when they go on, let's just say, a 3-day water fast, 72 hours? What can they expect? Because I know some people can get headaches and like a fatigue or shakiness, which I would say it's part of a detox process. But what can people expect?
Yeah. Well, you covered two of the top ones. Headaches, night sweats. Um, you can get irritable. You can start getting irritable. You can start having some foul smells coming out of you.
Hmm.
Um, you might have a little bit of difficulty sleeping in the beginning, first day or 2 or 3 or 4, just because your body's never done this before. It's very happy that you're doing this, but there's also a lot of emotions that are gonna be released too, because emotions are stored in fat cells, and as these cells are basically getting forced to be used, the emotions are gonna come pouring out. So don't be surprised if you become very emotional over stuff or more emotional than you normally are. That's very typical. Um, yeah, and again, if you're gonna do like a water fast, I think everybody should, especially if you're home alone or you don't have somebody looking out after you, should be monitoring yourself and be ready to refeed. So intermittent fasting is really just kind of the daily thing. I mean, it should just be the way we eat. I mean, because and you got to find out what works best for you. Some people might just eat a big breakfast and that's it, and that works for them the best. They don't eat the rest of the day. I know one guy, he was really overweight, and the way his schedule was, he would eat at 2 a.m. because he'd get home from work. He had like a swing shift or something. He'd just have one meal a day at 2 a.m. in the morning, and that worked for him. Okay, those are kind of oddball ones that I've heard,
Mhm.
but most people, like, if you have a regular schedule, the key is having high quality nutrition flooding into your body on the daily when you do eat. Um, and then just stick to a schedule, and then your bowel movements and everything gets like a clock, right? And you're getting into those circadian rhythms of nature. And if you think about it, if you look at our skin, we're supposed to be within about 1,500 miles of the equator, right? But we're moved 40 above the 45th parallel. It's cold. If it wasn't for air conditioning and heaters and houses, we wouldn't be living a lot of places we're living. So if you look at the equator, it gets light at 6 and it gets dark at 6. So 6 in the morning, it's light, and dark at 6. So genetically, we're kind of programmed to that. So the closer you can get to that for your sleep cycle, and you think about it, you're not going to be, if it's dark in the jungle, you're not going to be eating after 6 o'clock. So that's why this intermittent fasting thing works so well. Like, you'd wake up at 6, you would go out, you would probably start going out and finding food and bringing it back. And then in the village, you'd be preparing it. And then you'd probably be eating around lunchtime. You might eat a little bit of dinner. That's why this works out so well for so many people. I think it's genetically programmed into us to work that way. And then when we can also, on top of it, just stop eating and use our alternative fuel source, now we can basically do surgery without a knife on ourselves, and we can heal ourselves. And this is powerful stuff. Dr. CB, I don't know, are you familiar with him?
No.
So there's this guy, he went through Navy, he was a steam engineer, and he had never read a book. And this guy actually hired him to watch him fail, because he goes, how could you not ever read anything and become a steam engineer? And he became his best employee ever. But he was eating, like he said, he goes, I was eating collard greens and hog knuckles and chitlins and pork back ribs and all this stuff. And he, in his mid 30s, he was overweight and diabetic and impotent. And he's like, man, he's like, I can't even have sex. And talking to a friend, he's like, you need to go see this old Mexican healer. He heals people. And he's like, okay, I'll try anything. So CB goes down and meets with this guy, and he lives in a hut, and he has 2 wives and a goat. This is the guy. And he's told him his issues, and the guy and the Mexican healer looks at him, he goes, okay, here's what you're gonna do. Stop eating for 90 days and all of your health issues will be gone. And CB's looking at him, he goes, what? He's like, you're crazy, man. He's like, what are you talking about? He goes, I'm 92 years old. I have 2 wives and a goat. And you're the guy that can't even have sex. He goes, and I'm crazy? He goes, I'm telling you, stop eating for 90 days and just drink water, and you'll heal of all your shit, all your stuff. And so he didn't do that. But what he did do is he drank water, and he ate a vegetable that he said that looked like a cucumber. And that was it. So he drank water and ate cucumbers basically for 90 days. And he goes, in 90 days, I lost weight, my diabetes was gone, and I was no longer impotent. And that's when Dr. CB decided to really pursue wild-crafted herbs and see what he could do with those. And he was very interested in the electric body. And he became kind of like a legend. He was one of the few people that fought the FDA in court because he was, using these herbs, and people were getting better, and he had documented cases, and the FDA, they threw him in jail because he was running ads. We cure sickle cell anemia and AIDS. Come visit us at the OSHA clinic. And he's like, we were doing it. Why shouldn't I advertise it?
It's not allowed. The three-letter agencies clearly state, you can't say
Yeah.
that.
So
Whether it's true or
luckily,
not doesn't matter.
yeah. So this is a big deal. You guys can look this up. So he got in court, and he represented himself. And then the judge basically said, if you can bring in like just, I don't know, 7 or 12 people that, had diagnoses, then they came to you and they went back, got another diagnosis, and their problem was gone. She goes, you're out of here. Like 74 people showed up, all his people that he had helped, and case dismissed. And he won. He was, I think, one of the only people that ever won. And I don't know what ended up. Anyway, so he was one of the guys I followed in the very beginning because he was really into electric food, wild food, food with electrons in it, wild crafted, nothing that was spliced or changed, by man, nothing hybrid. And I like that pure stuff. So anyway, so there's an example right there of a guy that completely healed himself with water and structured water too, because inside of the plants, what's inside of plants? Structured water. Right. And the water you should be drinking is structured, but a lot of it's not. So, okay. So we talked about intermittent fasting. We talked about, how about getting onto a fast and getting off? Very important. So this isn't like, I'm going to fast. So I'm going to eat a whole bunch of pizzas, and then I'm going to fast, and I'm going to lose all the weight, and then I'm going to go eat a bunch of pizzas. Right. We actually run into this. We have clients. I have a guy who's a professional gambler. He doesn't like it, but he makes a couple $100,000 a year doing it. It's a high stress job for him, and he wants to do something else. And he would just order takeout food, gain 50 pounds, and then he would water fast until it was all gone, and then start eating again. Bad cycle. This is not good for the gastrointestinal tract. It's not good for your psyche. It's just not good for anything. So that's not a way to do it. So what you should do is, before you fast, and I'm talking about like water fasting here, you should really make sure you're flooding your body with nutrients. And then, maybe a day or two before, you should get onto soups, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, and then do just green juices, and then do your water fast. And then when you're done with your water fast, then go to the green juices for a day or two, and then the soups, and then maybe a light
So you're
salad.
saying don't break your fast with a huge burger and fries.
No, that would not be a good idea.
Well, plus, honestly, the body doesn't even tolerate it, which is, interesting. If you really fast for a few days, even if you eat something that's even remotely sweet, candy or stuff like that, your body kind of rejects it. It's so,
Yeah.
so,
Some
I
of the
would,
benefits of water fasting as well is that most people that have been on the processed standard American diet, your taste buds, my friends, have been hijacked.
yeah,
And you're a food addict. And the only way to admit this is to find out for yourself. Get a mirror and start drinking water. And as time passes, you're going to find out very quickly how addictive these foods are. And some of these super sugars and they're putting stuff in there that's bad. What'll happen is all that stuff will get reset, and your taste buds will get reset. And you have people that are like, they eat fresh, healthy food, and they're like, this doesn't taste that good. You get them cleaned out on water, and they go back and they're like, oh my God, this is delicious. They can actually taste the food again for the first
yeah.
time. So
I would
you should experience that as well.
I would also recommend, and this is always, you already said it. You try to calm down, and even if you do a water fast while you are working, that is fine and works. But the rest of the time, I would recommend to put in some journaling, some quiet time, prayer, and meditation. It really helps because you're getting some clarity during those times. And 3 days
You're
is sort of the bare minimum when that starts to kick in. If you go a little longer, it's going to be a lot of sort of revelations that might come through on subjects or things you didn't even know you had buried.
Oh
Or
man, yeah.
it,
The
it
the
is it is really an emotional release, like you said.
the first day or two can be very difficult. But like Jean said, it'll on a water fast, it'll just kick in. And when it kicks in, then it's just like you're not even hungry. It's the weirdest thing ever. But guys, there's so many benefits to this. Like I said, not just new brain cells, increasing human growth hormone, getting rid of dead cells, healing yourself of all kinds of problems. Inflammation goes down. You got back pain, joint pain, neck pain. This inflammation, arthritis, this stuff just starts. It just goes away. I mean, it's quite profound. And then you'll notice too, sugar. If you eat sugar after you've fasted and you had like joint pain, it'll come back and it'll really show itself. You're like, then you'll make the connection. Oh my God, that pasta that I ate, that pasta converted to sugar. The bread that I ate, the sugar that I had on my Cheerios, or whatever. You're gonna notice. You're gonna become more in tune with your body after you give it a little tune up. And it doesn't have to always be a water fast too. You can do a juice fast. Maybe you're like, okay, I'm gonna do a 2-day juice fast or a 5-day juice fast, and get a buddy or a friend to do it with, and do that and have fun with it. And if you set an intention like, okay, I'm going to do a 10-day water fast, because I set an intention last year. I'm like, I'm going to do 40 days. It was 40 days and 40 nights of water, and I'm doing it. Period. End of story. Done. Well, I didn't know that I was going to have to build a fence, and I had to let my ego brush it away a little bit, because I wasn't feeling good. And I'm like, I'm doing this fasting to benefit my life, not to kill myself or to hurt myself. So that's why I bought this ketone monitor afterwards immediately, because I figured if I'm going to do water fasting again, I'm going to measure my glucose levels and my ketones, and I'll just monitor them. And I'll also monitor how I feel. And if I set a goal for 40 days or 4 days or 10 days or 12 days, and on day 6 on a 10-day fast, I decide I can't do this anymore, you can break the fast. It's not that big of a deal. And then celebrate.
Baby
Celebrate. You
steps,
just did
right?
6 days on all juice, or you did 6 days on all water, or if you did, hey, I tell you what, if you just replace breakfast with green juice, you should throw a party, because most people can't do that, or they won't, because I don't.
I'm a firm believer in baby steps. Like starting, because whatever you build, and this is building something, it's kind of like a dream. You're building onto something. Whenever you try to do something really huge and you've never done it before, it's so overwhelming that usually you don't even get off the ground. But when you start, like you say, with small increments, oh, that was easy. Skipping breakfast and just replacing it with juice, and then maybe going to one meal a day and just the rest juicing. Those baby steps give you a lot of confidence that, hey, I've done it. I've done a lot of these now. I can actually go for a 48-hour water fast or 72. I would recommend it to everyone. I would also recommend that people jump over to your website, Tim. There's a lot more information there. You're talking about this. You have talked about this in the past. Where can people find you, your podcast, and where can they learn from you? Because you also teach in sort of a closed setting.
Awesome. Yeah, well, the website's chemicalfreebody.com and /inspired. And my podcast is called Tim James Unleashed. You'll find it over there, but just go to chemicalfreebody.com /inspired. That's where you can get the greens. Like if you want to start replacing that morning breakfast with some super powerful, concentrated green nutrition, that's there for you. And then under the media tab on the website, the main website, I had on Dr. Alan Goldhammer, episodes 198 and 199. He's been running the True North. It's a medically supervised water fasting clinic since the 80s, and they self-fund. They do all the research, and that's a really great resource. That podcast and that man, Dr. Alan Goldhammer, are great for water fasting. So many benefits. We haven't even just touched the surface of it, but what I can say is that fasting in general just is one of the most powerful things that anyone could do to have a higher vibrational, higher quality of life, to feel more love and feel more connection, and get out of things and have better relationships with other people. It's going to improve your relationship with yourself. It'll make a better relationships with others. Your career, everything will get better. I'm telling you, like, this is one of the most powerful things. And I'm not saying, I've seen people do complete reversals of major health issues, and fasting is right in the mix in there. And it's one of the most powerful things you can do. So like Jean said, start small, but get started and get some experience at it. And probably the most important thing after that is if you do a fast and you want to do a 3-day fast, but you only make it one day, do not beat yourself up over it. You should celebrate that one day and then shake your feathers a little bit and maybe in a week or two, try it again.
That's why I would start with like 48 or 24 hours as a goal. But always remember also that there's other things you can begin fasting with, like, having maybe an electronic detox day where you don't use smartphone, don't use the internet. If you can, if it's, aside from work maybe, but you can do that too. That is fasting too. And that helps you. It makes us realize where our maybe, hidden addictions are. It is really important to get, actually, I think during my fast I've gotten to know myself better than during any other time, because
Of course.
now all that energy that is required for digestion and whatnot is available to me. I'm at full capacity, so I
And
encourage
we are
everyone.
vibrational beings. So by doing this, your vibration will go up and to higher realms, and you will connect to higher versions of self and your creator.
I couldn't agree more. Tim James, founder of Chemical Free Body. Hop over to chemicalfreebody.com // inspired. Check it out. Learn more. Tim, thank you so much. Once again, always an honor and a pleasure, brother.
Thanks, man. And thanks everybody for being here, and have a wonderful day.
Inspired Tribe, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you, and we'll be back with you again very, very soon.